also comes from the Army Research Lab. And this is Predictive Cyber Technologies, and please give them a warm welcome.
Good evening, everyone. I'm just going to jump right in with something maybe a little bit controversial. Cybersecurity doesn't work. Just a few metrics here. Almost 4 million, that's the average cost of a single breach annually for a company. 47%, that's the increase in unique cyber incidents between Q2 2017 and Q2 of this year. And less than 1%, that's the percentage of antivirus protection that catches active threats. And I mean, these are just statistics on a slide, right? But we talked to over 50 experts in the field, from CISOs to lawyers to consultants, and all of the data pointed to this idea that the technology simply isn't enough. And so we knew there was an opportunity that was larger than the technology. And who are we? We are the Predictive Cyber Protection team. I'm Jonathan Ford, and this is my colleague, teammate, Mike Ford, clearly brother since birth. We are both graduate students, respectively, at the University of Pennsylvania and Columbia University, but more importantly, we're avid learners, and we were super excited and curious to jump right in with our partner, Hassan Khan, R&D collaborator, right here in the back. Great to see him here tonight. And we were looking forward to working on this ARL-developed software for determining and defending criticality surface assets in cyber defense. That's a mouthful, but the takeaway from that is think real-time cyber defense. As opposed to cleaning up the mess retroactively, think in the moment, the software spiders through a network, determines the most important nodes in the network, and then defends them in real time. And so we thought, wow, this would really work for everyone, right? But as everyone probably knows here, you can't be everything to everyone. So we started with financial services, and we quickly found this was a mature market for cybersecurity, perhaps too mature for what we were trying to do. We often got the refrain, we're not ready for another vendor, or we're looking at customized solutions that are made in-house. While we were looking at an SBIR application, military, the DoD became a use case potentially. And we saw a report from the Government Accountability Office that the DoD does not know the full extent of its weapons cyber systems. So we thought, wow, this is a great opportunity to identify and prioritize critical assets and weapon systems. However, we didn't get the traction there that we liked. So we started reflecting back on the process and the themes that came out of our interviews. And one of the themes that we came to was the need for quantification of risk in cybersecurity is a huge need. And when you think about quantification of risk, obviously the insurance industry comes up. And so challenges in cybersecurity insurance began to emerge. We thought about and talked to people about the complex network risk in cybersecurity that's often being underwritten with low-tech methods. And so if you think about the most common ways of underwriting is checkbox. What's the revenue of the company? What's the size of the company? Not looking at the data that's a little bit more intensive. So we thought the opportunity would be a more accurate way for policy writers to quantify risk and look at policies that reflect the risk that they actually incur. And so now I'll hand it over to Mike to talk through that technology.
All right, so how many of you are familiar with those driving trackers that they install in your car to reduce your auto premium? See some nods there. We envision our technology to work in a similar way, but for a client's network. So the client installs the software on their network, and then each node of the network is analyzed. The risk is quantified along 6 metrics, like the image at the top there. And if we zoom out, we get to the image at the bottom, where we see the network as a whole and where the critical assets are, with all the risk neatly quantified. That data goes back to the insurer, who is then able to accurately price a policy to reflect the risk that they are actually incurring. The next step is then to run the data through some machine learning algorithms, which not only increase the accuracy of the system, but is actually able to predict changes in a network's risk portfolio as this system changes. And finally, the technology is patented by Dr. Kram with the Army Research Lab, and that gives us a competitive edge in the market. And the market is booming. Cybersecurity as a whole has an estimated CAGR of 11.6% over the next few years. And within that, tracking it is cyber insurance, which similarly is also growing at an alarming rate. These are global estimates at this year estimated at $5.2 billion, and by 2020, $7.5 billion. One insurer estimates that by 2025, the US market alone for cyber insurance will be up to $20 billion. For our slice of that pie, I think it's useful to refer to an interview that I had with one seemingly desperate underwriter who said that his company would be willing to pay up to 10% of each policy that they write in cyber insurance for their clients to use this product of ours. Where do we go from here? The first step is to verify a few hypotheses about the key product features, and for that we need to speak to more underwriters, insurers in the space, and any contacts would be most helpful. We're looking for informational interviews or even shadowing opportunities that would be extremely helpful. Once we've determined the key product features, we will move into developing a minimum viable product, and for that we need continued support from ARL as well as specialized software developers working with our technology specifically, with cybersecurity as well as big data analytics. And finally, we will create a go-to-market strategy and formalize a business plan with the ongoing support of FedTech and any suggestions from the audience. Thank you for your attention. Are there any questions? One question only.
No questions. All right. So how do you begin to, I guess, quantify the insurance signature as far as I break down? Not knowing necessarily that company or organization's secret sauce, if you will, how do you figure out where the most, I guess, biggest liability is?
Sure. Without getting into the business risk, so there is that component as well. Using the data from the various assets, the sensors that track the security of each one, we then have the 6 metrics that include things like vulnerability, how quickly it recovers, how contagious a breach would be, so that's what the effect would be on adjacent assets. But that also needs to be mapped onto the business structure. So if there's one server that's relatively secure, but it generates 80% of the revenue, that's a much bigger risk within the organizational structure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.